speaking of reverse grips, now that you're in a reverse grip, you can do the same types of spins. So, or throws, I should say. So, if I'm doing forward spins in reverse grip, right about here, when I bring it back around to do an offside forward spin, I can spin that again. And it's the same motion and the same feel as the reverse grip, or the reverse spin in your forward grip, where it kind of just guides around and it's pretty easy. It's the same idea here. Right about here, I'm just letting it roll around my hand. And it looks pretty cool. And so you can throw that in whenever you want, as many times as you want, and it kind of looks cool. So here's a couple of demonstrations. I'll probably drop it here too. There's the drop. Practice makes perfect. I still drop shit all the time. Reverse grip. And let's say you're doing, you can't really do, I mean you can, but not really. But you can go the other way too. So rather than just doing here, you can spin it around the back way too. It's just a little harder. And I don't do this very often at all because it doesn't flow as well in a reverse grip to catch it this way. But you can do it. Or you can spin it from reverse grip to forward grip. So if you watch me here, all I'm doing is rolling it a little bit and catch it. But I'm not letting it go 180 degrees. So I'm switching from forward to reverse grip. And that's a really cool move to have too. You can switch things up on the fly. If you're really good and you're in the middle of a duel, I mean, that's a really cool way to switch it up and screw somebody up because they won't expect it. So if I'm here, and I've just switched to reverse grip, it's an interesting way to kind of switch things up. If you can incorporate that into your flow, it'll flow even better, and you'll have a little bit more cool options. The next thing I want to talk about, and this is something that I did a lot to kind of learn how the Saber moves from my left into my right hand, is these forward spins to my opposite hand, like this. So I'm still tossing it the same way. The only difference is that about right here, instead of throwing it all the way around and catching it with my other hand, or with my same hand, I'm just allowing my other hand to kind of pick it up. And that's cool because you have a little bit more control here because you're not throwing it and hoping that your same hand catches. You can actually bring your other hand right to it. Here, I'll back up a little bit so you can see it. See, it's easier to do that, right? So, practice that move I just did, where you're dropping it as a forward spin and you're catching it in the other hand, and then you're dropping it in a forward spin with your left hand, catching it with your right, or you're dominant and you're non-dominant. Practice that. And the exercise I use to practice that, kind of warm up whenever I'm going to do some spins, is I'm right-handed, start with my right hand out to the side. I do a forward spin in front of me, right? Is it a forward spin? Yeah, it is a forward spin. I do a forward spin in front of me, and as it comes here, I catch it with my left hand, and I bring it all the way out. And now it's the opposite. And I just do that a few times. So. That builds up a lot of confidence, and it's easier to do. So it's kind of something I do to warm up. And it kind of looks cool. If I'm here, you know, or if I'm here, it's kind of a cool way to change stances, and you can incorporate it in different footwork and it'll look really nice. So, again, practice that. Switching between forward and reverse grip is also helpful. The last thing I'll show you as far as tossing goes, before some just silly fun stuff, is behind the back. Now, if you do an obiani, when you get to this point, you're gonna now reverse and draw, right, for the obiani. You can, right about here, just continue it and let it continue rolling this way and switch hands behind your back and bring it all the way out here with your left hand or your non-dominant hand. So again, forward spin, reverse, and then you just switch hands behind your back. And it is a little bit of a toss. So here, I'll do it a couple times at a good speed, and then I'll turn around so you can see what I'm doing. Do it either way. So behind my back, regular Obiani, and right about here, I toss it to my other hand and bring it straight out. It's very simple. It's the exact same motion as the spins and catches in front of you. You're just now doing it behind you. Right? So if you can get that motion down, you can do some really cool switching of the hands. I just did a reverse grip switch there, did some throws. That's another way you can flow. So if you're doing Obiani a bunch, the way to make that a little bit more interesting, switch it to your left hand. Just kind of a cool way of switching hands. So again, it's the same thing as in front of you, it's just behind you. So that's another thing you might want to practice. Once you've got it in your left hand, again, or your non-dominant hand, you can do all these tosses the same way. If you practice with them, you can switch into your non-dominant hand and do reverse tosses and reverse grip stuff. You can do everything I just showed you with your non-dominant hand. And that spin here has a switch, or this spin here is a really cool way to get over to that. Last thing I'll show you, just something kind of silly, but you can do with the CFX board because it's so darn responsive. Really don't recommend doing this with anything you care about. I'm stupid for doing it with this, but I also know that it's gonna hold up because I built it. But the CFX board is so sensitive. They say in the manual that it reads input faster than the speed of light, so they have to slow it down, or whatever. But the idea here is it's so sensitive that if you throw it in the air, it'll spin faster than you're able to do it with your hand. You get some really cool, almost General Grievous-like sounds. So I'm just gonna do it in front of me and not do anything crazy yet, and then I'll show you some cool stuff you can do with it. But I'm basically gonna toss this, and when I toss it, I'm gonna flick my wrist to make it spin like that. And if I can get it on a little bit of an angle, you'll hear some really cool effects. So I'll try to be quiet so you can hear it. See what I mean? That General Grievous-like sound? So you practice that and you kind of go to catching it. It's a little harder in the dark. If you can throw it at an angle and it starts making that cool sound, you can catch it in really cool ways and do some really fun stuff. You're gonna drop it though. It's gonna happen. So like I said, do it with stuff that you don't care about and practice first. And turn it hard enough. It's silly, but it looks cool. I actually posted a video a little while ago with a kind of pseudo choreographed spinning thing, and I started it by igniting the saber as I tossed it. So I literally tossed it right like that. I'll do it real quick just so you can see it. And I caught it reversed and dropped down to one knee as it ignited. And it looks pretty darn cool. So you can incorporate stuff like that into your flow or your choreography to do some really fun stuff. Again, at your own risk. Told you you're gonna drop it. took me a while to get it right.